On any given year, there can be tension around the holidays, but put a pandemic on top of it all, along with, let's say, the post-election, and then everything kind of intensifies just a little bit, right? So how do you deal with all of it without boiling over? Well, we're going to turn to Eric Rittmeyer, mental toughness and emotional intelligence expert. Good morning.
Leanne, good morning. It's so nice to see you. Thank you for having me back again.
Oh, it's our pleasure, and this is so timely. Okay, so let's talk about the elephant or the donkey in the room. Of course, politics is likely to come up. So how do you respond to somebody without boiling over? Walk us through those steps.
Yeah, well, the first part, like you just said, emphasis on respond, Leanne. So when somebody says something we don't like, or when we're confronted with somebody who has a conflicting point of view, the gut instinct is for us to react. When we react, that's emotion-based. We're hardwired to feel first and think later. So when we react to a situation, it's going to be emotion-based, which means we're probably going to say or do things that we're going to regret, as opposed to responding, which is where we process information logically and formulate a response. So it's critically important to respond as opposed to react.
So is it kind of one of those walking away, count to 10 and then come back? Or how do you do that? Because some people do, they just fire off so easily, and then they do think, man, why did I say that?
It's like that Seinfeld episode, right? Serenity now.
Exactly.
It all starts with knowing our triggers, Leanne. We all have these triggers. If we're aware of them and we know somebody's flipped that switch, we can internally then say, hey, I'm in an emotional state of mind right now. But the problem is a lot of us don't know the triggers. Somebody says it, the trigger gets pulled, and what follows that is just a blah of the mouth, and we upset lots of people.
All right. So also, when it comes to actually knowing someone else's triggers, don't be the one that kind of instigates either, right?
Yeah, this is all about self-awareness. That's a critical component to emotional intelligence. It's the ability to read a room. And self-awareness isn't just about having understanding of our own emotions. It's how we perceive, express, and respond to other people's emotions as well. We have to pick up on this. If we have people that we know are going to be the cousin Eddies of the world that are coming over with a pet snot, rub his belly, Clark, he likes to rub his belly. We have to be aware of that. We have to handle that differently, but it's all about being prepared, mentally preparing ourselves. So when we get put in that situation, we know how to respond to it.
When it comes to suspending your disbeliefs, where does that come into play with everything?
Yeah, this is really difficult to do, especially in the age we're in right now. Mm-hmm. We live in this outrage culture. I believe what I believe, you believe what you believe. The minute there's a conflicting belief system, we automatically hate each other. Mm-hmm. We have to get a lot better at being listeners. You know, we listen with the intent to reply, not with the intent to understand. But suspending our disbeliefs is where we set aside what we think and what we feel and give somebody else the respect to just hear them out. We don't have to agree with them. We just want to make them feel like we hear you, we understand you. I still disagree, but I at least hear where you're coming from.
I feel like so much of this can come into play on social media too. We're so quick to respond. And instead of just scrolling past on Facebook, there are those people that feel like they need to comment on every single thing.
We're fueled in emotion right now. We're intoxicated in emotion, Leanne. Our nation is incapable of logical thought processes. So everything we see, we're digesting that emotionally, and that means that we're going to say and do things that we're going to regret. So
Eric, if you were ever put in a situation, how do you work through these things? You're supposed to be the expert in all of this. So if Eric was put in a really tough situation, what would you do if somebody really hit your trigger point?
Have you ever seen The Lion King, Hakuna Matata? I say this all the time. It means no worries, literally. So if you go into these situations prepared, so you kind of know what you're up against, and the minute if that trigger gets pulled and you don't know how to handle it, walk away and just say Hakuna Matata like 5 times. You can't be mad when you say Hakuna Matata. It's impossible.
And just everybody needs to understand that tensions are really high right now, and we need to take that all into consideration when we are having these conversations and these interactions, right?
We sure do. We have to understand that we're all in a difficult time right now. Let's just give each other the benefit of the doubt. Let's assume the person next to us loves us, because they probably do. Everything's okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time this morning. Have a very Merry Christmas, and hopefully nobody hits those trigger points with you.
You too, Leanne. Thank you all, guys. You guys are awesome, too. Thank you so much for having me this year.
Thank you so much. For more information, go to mentaltoughnessspeaker.com. Eric is pretty awesome at what he does.